What up, guys? Today we're going to be reviewing episode 7 of Dragon Ball Daima. And I know this episode review is kind of late because episode 8 has already dropped out and episode 9 is almost coming up in a few days. So I know this is a little bit late and I'm sorry for that. But I did have some problems with my internet. My internet service kind of discontinued for like a day or two because there was a payment bill that didn't go through and I had to get that fixed. And then when I did get it fixed, the internet wasn't properly fixed. Like YouTube was allowed in certain other websites, but not all websites were allowed, so I did have some problems with it. But I did get a lot of it fixed, not fully. I'm still having some problems with it. I'm probably just gonna have to get a new laptop, and hopefully the internet service should allow all these other websites to work on it. But I was kind of holding off on making the video because I don't know if making these videos and editing them and then uploading them on YouTube, because I don't know how it'll work, how well it will be working with the whole internet situation. But luckily I tested it out. The editing software on my laptop, it allows that, it works, and it allows me to upload videos on YouTube, not just using like watching videos. So I am able to upload videos and make videos again. So I will be dropping out the other episode reviews of episode 9 and the other ones after that only a few days or around that same day as the episode drops. Unlike this one where episode 8 is already dropped, and it's embarrassing because I honestly want to drop this out, before that episode, but like I said, the whole situation, I just couldn't do anything about it, so sorry for that. I will be dropping out episode 8's review right after this one, so you guys won't have to really wait that long. So yeah, let's get into this episode review. This episode, honestly, not much happened here. Sorry for the background noise, but not much happened in this episode, if I'm being honest. It was a lot of it just waiting and padding out for the next episode. And when I was first watching it, I knew that's the direction it was going, and I was hoping that they wouldn't. But then again, this is anime and this is Dragon Ball, and this is how they do it. They kind of drag it out. They're going to have a scene where they're building up to the big fight. That means in that episode, the big fight's not going to happen. So I was already expecting that. And luckily right now, we rewatched episode 8, so we saw the big fight and we saw how crazy it was, and I will talk about that in that review. And episode 9 is almost coming up anyway, so we're going to see what happens after that and as the journey continues in the story. But for episode 7, they pretty much were flying off, and as they were flying off, they were once again like actually they started off with Bulma and the rest of the crew on Earth and them dealing with the ship not working. Apparently they were missing this element that is not found on Earth and is very rare, and they were struggling with it, like, okay, damn, so we have some problem here. And look, that was good for them because the other guy that was sent by the king from the third demon world, I think his name is Hibiso or something like that. I forgot how to pronounce his name, but he basically came there and said, hey, yo, what's up? I'm from the demon realm. I was sent here by the king and your friends, so I'm here to help you guys out to get you to the demon realm. You guys can get on my ship, and you also needed a pin anyway, so they're gonna go with him to get to the demon realm, which is really great because we have been kind of waiting on when they would arrive there. I did say that maybe around episode 5 or maybe 6 they would be there, but even after episode 8, I think at episode 8 they got there, but yeah, even at this point at episode 7, they still haven't gotten there or left the living universe, which is kind of slow in my opinion. And that's one of the biggest complaints a lot of people had with this show, especially in episode 7 until we got to episode 8, where the development of the show hasn't progressed really quickly. And I get it, but then we go transition to Goku and the rest of them in the demon realm as they're flying, and they're just having conversations and little stuff. And then some of the guard ships show up there, so they're like, oh my god, we're about to get caught. So then they say, hey, we need to confiscate your ship. We need to see if you're harboring the kid that attacked us earlier with the spiky hair and his power pole and stuff. So they're trying to see if he's in there in the cargo ship, and they're checking in the back, and they had to get out, and they're all worried if they might find Goku, but they don't see Goku, and they're wondering how did he get out there? He apparently just teleported, he used instant transmission. He got behind them, and then he was hiding. And as he was hiding, they kind of got into a fight with these guys. the guards anyway, so they got into a fight with them, and then they had to fight them off. They beat them. Goku got exposed anyway, and they just destroyed the rest of them. And they killed the rest of them, but then there was one ship left, so their ship was already damaged because for some reason, Glorio and Shin were running in a straight direction towards the ship as they were getting fired at, and then they moved apart once when they got to the ship, which was dumb. I was like, you could have just separated before that and saved it, but it didn't really matter, and it's actually a good thing because that ship wasn't really that great. It had some problems, and now they already got one of the guard ships anyway, so they have a better transportation. It's faster, it works better, and on top of the fact that it's one of the guard ship, it protects them and saves them from any detection, because now they're just going to assume that it's one of their own. So they use this to go, but before they even leave, they start talking about Pansy's neck collar thingy, and talking about how everybody there has one. And then Shin explains us, he gives us quite a bit of new lore, which we've been getting in all these episodes. Even if there's not that much story progression, we do get quite a bit of world building and lore progression, even if it's not super significant things. But we do get some interesting things. We found out that Shin's real name is not Shin, that's his living world name. His name from the demon realm is Nahara or something like that. And Goku's able to pronounce it properly, which is funny because he can't pronounce Glorio's name, but he can pronounce his name, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, he that's his demon world name, which is kind of interesting because we do see this a little bit in the real world with people from like Asian cultures, usually like from like China and stuff like that. When they come to the US, they have some really long names or some really complex names and it's very hard to pronounce. So instead of having their just original Chinese name, they change it to something else, which either has an American name with their with a Chinese last name, like either is their same Chinese last name, or they change it to a different sounding Chinese last name, and they call it their American name. So they have their Chinese name and their American name, and it's the same thing with Supreme Kai. He has his Demon World name, which is his original name, and then he has his Living World name, which is Shin. So his name is Nahara, and Goku's gonna call him that, but then he's like, it's kind of weird to call you that, so I'm just gonna call you Shin. Or Supreme Kai. And he's like, oh, whatever, I don't care. And then, as he's talking to Pansy, he mentions that the she mentions that it's made out of ketchenite, which ketchenite is basically it's the metal that, if you guys remember in the Buu Saga when Gohan was testing out the Z sword and Goku threw a big rock and he sliced through it, and then Supreme Kai is like, how about we try something with less density and more hardness or whatever, and he threw this like big cube, he got this Kachin cube, and it was considered the strongest metal in the entire universe. So this is a very powerful metal. It's the strongest element in metal in the entire Dragon Ball universe as a whole. So it makes sense why they would make it out of this. And apparently this Kachinite comes from Shin's planet. His people have this mineral, they mined it, and this was made to create the collars by Arisu, I think that's her name, Shin's sister. She used the metal to create that, to create the collar around their neck. And then he's like, I got a way to get rid of it, even though it is supposed to be indestructible. So he does a magical spell, he puts his hand out, and it basically shatters it, freeing her from her shackles. So now she's no longer, chained with that. Also because that was kind of like, it was... it had a GPS system in it, so it was like a tracker, so they were able to track them also and use it to pull them and manipulate them however they wanted. So by breaking that does help out a lot. So then they go back onto their journey to find another demon village. They do find it, and there's Goku's talking about finding that Tamagotchi or whatever it's called, the Tommy whatever. So you wanted to fight him, and we got a pretty interesting revelation on their power, because we've been wondering how powerful they are, and they haven't really said anything. They just said they're really powerful, and nobody's ever gotten the Dragon Balls from them. But we do get a little bit of a power scaling for them and a little bit of understanding on how powerful they are, because Glorio, or I think Pansy, mentioned the fact that even Demon King Dogura tried to fight them to get the Dragon Balls, and he lost. He survived, but he lost, which is very impressive, because if you guys remember in the Buu Saga that it was mentioned by by Goku and Vegeta that yeah, he's strong, but he was more like a threat when we were fighting in Cell. So he was like around Cell's level, arguably either Perfect Cell or Super Perfect Cell. Most likely Super Perfect Cell, since he was able to handle Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, even though he got weaker. But remember, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan with less than half of his power was able to obliterate Super Perfect Cell, and still Doburo was able to handle Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, even though he was had half of his power only left. But that's kind of around the same range of power when he got hurt. So he's around Super Perfect Cell's level, or around below Super Saiyan 2, but somewhere around that realm. So the fact that he lost to one of them means that they're really, really powerful, that even someone like Cell would have lost or died to them if he was able to beat that. So definitely not as strong as Buu, obviously, but still pretty powerful, and it's pretty interesting to see how powerful they are. But Goku says he's willing to challenge them, and he goes up and shows up, the guy starts yelling, and this is where the fight's about to start, but the episode ends. And like I said, in Dragon Ball fashion, that's just how it is in shonen anime in general. But yeah, that was kind of, for me, when I watched this episode, it was kind of a disappointment. I was anticipating for episode 8 because I knew that's when the action was going to start. And it didn't disappoint, and I can't wait to talk about that in the other review, but I'll try to finish this one up. But this episode was kind of like a filler-ish episode. It was just not much happening. It was just leading up to the next episode. It's kind of like some movies nowadays where they have these big cinematic stuff, or like cinematic universes, or they have like a sequel, and instead of having these movies being like something that's supposed to be important, is just setting up for the next film. And I felt like the same thing for this episode. This episode was just setting up for episode 8. It wasn't meant to be the more impactful episode, though we did get some interesting information about Shin's name, the Ketchenite thing, and how it works in their world. And then also the I'm just gonna call them Tamagotchis. I know that's not their name, but the Tamagotchis are also strong enough to beat Doburo, who is Super Perfect Cell level, which is very impressive. But besides that, there wasn't really that much. The only thing that was really cool was the rest of the crew is going to be end up with the Demon World. But since Goku and the rest of them keep on moving forward, they're going to have to just pretty much play catch up to them. And episode 8, obviously, they didn't catch up to them yet, but they're going to catch up to them at some point. Now, in my last video, I was saying that I don't know how many episodes they're going to have in this series, so I did search up right after that video, and when I searched it up, apparently they have 20 episodes. So this show is going to have 20 episodes. I don't know if it's going to be just contained with this one season and it's going to be over, or they're going to have other seasons, but this season at least is going to have 20 episodes. But it is kind of moving a little slow. I know a lot of people have been complaining about how slow it's progressing, and I can't blame them because it's 7 episodes in, which is actually a lot of episodes. If you tell anybody who watches any show, if you give them 7 episodes to, get into a show for it to get good, that is quite a bit of episodes to get through before the show really actually gets good. And I can see why people might be a little annoyed. And also especially since the fact that even though 20 episodes is actually pretty decently long, because nowadays most animes, these are like around 10, 12, 6 episodes, which is nothing. So to have one that's around 20 or 24 is quite a big thing. But still, 7 episodes in, and we haven't even gotten to the first fight in the first Dragon Ball. We did get into episode 8, but still, 7 episodes is quite a bit, especially when we have 20 episodes. That pretty much meant that we were around over a quarter past the episodes done, around almost halfway done with the series before we got to this first fight. So the next two worlds we're going to see, the Demon Worlds, I'm going to bet is going to be a lot faster and quicker than in this one. The first one, I don't know why they were setting it up a lot and they're building it up a lot, and they were trying to move the pace. They're pacing it very slowly, but we only have for this video we have 13 episodes. The episode 8 already dropped out, so we only have 12 episodes now. But pretty much there's only a few episodes left, and they need to really speed up on the process. So luckily they got it by episode 8, but hopefully the next few episodes that drop out are a lot faster in progressing the story. Don't waste time. Hopefully they can meet up with the rest of the crew, then they have the whole thing with them all together, and then develop the whole story. Because like I said, though 20 episodes is quite a bit of episodes, using up 7 episodes taking this much time doing all this is kind of a waste. It feels like they're wasting time, and I wish they would just like speed up at least a little bit faster. Though luckily for us in episode 8, they did give us quite a bit of stuff that I can't really complain about. So yeah, this episode was pretty meh. It was okay. I wouldn't say it was that great, but we did get some pretty interesting information from it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for next time.